I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Fasten your seatbelts and get ready to laugh out loud.
Jim never vomits at home.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Johnny, what can you make out of this?
This? Well, I can make a hat, or a brooch, a pterodactyl.
R-E-S-P-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-C-T, take out T-C-P, sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me, sock it to me.
Leslie Nielsen and Robert Hayes had an all-star cast that take off on a hilarious flight. Watch out for Airplane.
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another review, actually a re-review, and this time is for Airplane from 1980. This is a request, a Patreon request for Brett. Thank you so much for that. If anyone wants to request any review, re-review, topics, reactions, any video of the like, you do send a request either directly to my PayPal or join me on my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, Airplane, this is a fun parody. It's a fun comedy. It was a takeoff of this film, I want to say it was called 0 Hour, that I've never seen back in the day, but they kind of use that as the main format, but also parodies of, you know, this type of flick where anything that would go wrong in an airplane can. And then you had all these airport films that would come out, and Airport 1975, Airport 1977, Airport 1979. But from what I understand, one of the main things was 0 Hour. I could be wrong on that. But also a lot of the airport films back in the day. And you have a cast like Robert Hayes and Julie Hagerty, Leslie Nielsen, Robert Stack, Lloyd Bridges. Not too long ago I reviewed another parody called Death Kappa, and I mentioned how one of the reasons that didn't work, but films like this work, is number one, this is sincerely funny, and number two, you have actors that, even though they're in this silly, goofy, crazy movie, they're taking it seriously. They think they're in an airport film. They think they're in a much serious, dramatic movie, and so that makes their reactions even funnier. It makes the comedy even funnier. Not one just winking. In fact, the one guy that does the winking, this character named Johnny, this guy who works with Lloyd Bridges in the tower, who's just being stupid, is like, "Oh, I unplugged this thing. Let me plug it back in." Or Rapunzel. He's dancing around. That guy I hated. He was annoying, he was irritating, he was easily the worst character, and he was easily the least funny character of Johnny. I know a lot of people liked his character. To me, I didn't. Because he was the one that's like, do you get it? This is a comedy, do you get it? It's goofy, do you get it? But everybody else, the fact that they were so serious. When Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries and all this, he has two glasses, he has sunglasses, he takes it off, there's another sunglasses. Or he just in the airport, he's beating all these people up. They're like, Jehovah's Witness? Scientology? He's beat up all these people trying to give him pamphlets. And he's being serious, like it's a serious action film, but the whole idea and the whole point of what's going on is what makes it funny. You know, Lloyd Bridges, when he's like, man, this is the wrong week I chose to quit drinking. This is the wrong week I chose to quit sniffing glue. This is the wrong week I chose to quit methamphetamines. The serious nature that he says this stuff is part of the reason why it makes it funny. And you know, Robert Hayes and Julie Hagerty as this couple that were in love, but then Robert Hayes, he's too consumed with what happened in the war, but then he's got to come up to heroic status to help with this, all the crazy stuff that happens on this airplane. In particular, people get sick because they ate the fish and all this other stuff going on. And you know, as a comedy, of course, what makes a comedy work? Is it funny? Is it not? To me, Airplane is very funny. And it's one of those parodies that throws as much as you can against the wall. How much of it does stick? And to me, a lot of this does. I mean, the opening where you have the airplane fin moving around the clouds, like it was the shark moving its fin around the water, and you have the music from Jaws. That was fun. That was clever. You have the pilot trying to get to the white phone, and he picks up, it's the red phone. It's like, no. The intercom goes, no, the white phone. Like little subtle stuff like that makes it even funnier. You know, the two guys on the plane that use slang, and the slang is so confusing to us white people that they put subtitles. Knock yourself a pro, slick. Lay her down, smack 'em, yak 'em, shit. And then with the subtitle it says Dolly when he says shit. Like, I'm laughing right now just thinking about it. You know, the name of the pilots, you know, they go back to the old school of, you know, utilizing words, and like one person's named Roger, one person's named Clarence, one person's named Victor. We have clearance, Clarence. Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor? Huh? What? Huh? Think they're saying each other's names. There's always the Saturday Night Fever where you see flashback to Robert Hayes and Julie Hagerty and him dancing like John Travolta, and he's throwing stuff, but they keep throwing his clothes back to him. And, you know, Robert Hayes, I do enjoy. He's mostly known for this, but I thought he did a good job in other movies too. 50-50 with him and Peter Weller, Cat's Eye, the segment he was in that. I always thought he was a solid actor. I thought he worked well in dramatic as well as comedy. You know, 50-50 worked in action comedy, a bit more dramatic in Cat's Eye. Here, much more comedic, but still playing it straight. And I always thought Robert Hayes did a good job. Julie Hagerty, she was fun. She was sincere. And her worry and her love for Robert Hayes' character, and she wasn't phoning it in. She went with it. When you have the automatic pilot deflating, and yeah, put your mouth on the hose, and she does, but then to other people it looks like she's giving a BJ to the damn fucking balloon, how the hell you want to put it. And then the face of the pilot smiling and bobbing his head as she's blowing air into it. Yeah, that's a juvenile humor, but that was clever, and it's definitely unique, as not anything I've really seen before or since. And that's what makes it funny. It's like, it's so weird and stupid, but yet creative and unique that just takes the fucking cake. And there's a lot of fun moments in this. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one of the pilots, and the kid says, "You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar." "No, I'm not. My name's Roger." "No, I mean, we love you. I mean, my dad, even though my dad says that, you know, you don't play to your fullest unless it's the playoffs, and, you know, you don't really go fast going up and down." And then Kareem gets pissed at the kids, like, "You tell your dad you try to drag Walter and Lanier down the court for 48 minutes. So that was cool to see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there. Leslie Nielsen, which he appears like 30-some minutes into the film, but he's definitely one of the best parts of it. Because people forget, before this, Leslie Nielsen was known as a serious actor. He had done just specifically serious roles. It was after this that he was known as a comedic actor, because then he would be in Police Squad and Naked Gun films and Wrongfully Accused and Spy Hard and, you know, all this other stuff. And then Scary Movie 3, I think he was in, what's that movie called? The 2001 A Space Travesty or something. I mean, he was in a lot of comedies after this, but before this he had not really done comedy. But it showed that he had a knack for it. And just the way he utilizes the dialogue. A hospital. What is it? A big building with patients in it, but that's not important. How soon can you land? I can't tell you. You can tell me. I'm a doctor. See, that's what I mean, like, you know, what makes it funny is subjective. That's kind of the tough thing to review in comedies. Just because I view it funny doesn't mean you will, and vice versa. Surely you can't be serious. Yes, I am serious. And don't call me Shirley. And there's some really clever gags. Like Robert Stack, when we first see him, we think he's dressing in front of a mirror. And then he steps out of it, and he just walks away. And you're like, what? It's like, stuff like that was pretty damn clever. And you don't really see it coming. And even the more sillier moments are funny because of outrageousness, and they would not go there nowadays. Like this woman that's hysterical, and this line of people that just beat the hell out of her, and you see the line like someone's got boxing gloves, someone's got a wrench, someone's got a gun. That wouldn't happen today because it'd be too insensitive. Oh, they're beating this poor woman, the movie's sexist. This sexist, how could they do this? Put the thumb up your ass and smile. Again, does everything work in the film? No. The Johnny character, he got on my nerves. He was really fucking annoying. Some of the jokes don't work. You have this running gag where Robert Hayes has a drinking problem, but their version of a drinking problem is he tries to drink and he does this. Or he does this. I always thought that was a lame running gag. But you know what? You're not going to have many comedies and parodies where all the gags work 100%. That's just not going to be the case. Now, would I say this is my favorite parody? It's up there. I mean, I would say National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1 and Hot Shots Part 2 are probably my two favorite parodies because they're dealing with the action genre, and I'm such a huge action fan. And they're parodying, you know, Lethal Weapon and Rambo, and so I got the most laughs out of those two. But this is, and I also like the sequel, which I believe I reviewed the sequel, Airplane 2. I think I reviewed this before as well on the channel. But I do like Airplane 2. William Shatner in particular is, I thought, funny as hell in that sequel. But yeah, the 1957 Paramount film 0 Hour also borrows from Airport 1975, among others. Like, for example, there's this kid who's sick, and that's reminiscent to, I forget which airport film. Was it 75? With Linda Blair, actually, as the sick kid. But only this, of course, the person's playing guitar, but they not paying attention, and they pull the tube, and the little girl's like, but they did back in time. Although there is some dark humor, like when Robert Hayes is telling his flashback, but he talked so long that the lady next to him got so out of it that she hanged herself. Or even like these two little kids, and one kid goes, "How you like your coffee?" And she's like, "I like it black, like my men." And the boy's like, see, when it's done in a comedic, over-the-top, weird, like purposely shocking, funny way like that, it works. Was a film like Cuties, not so much. But yeah, it came out apparently around July of 1980. Was a huge hit when it came out. Peter Graves as the captain. Of course, Peter Graves from Mission Impossible, the TV show. I mean, it's a stellar cast. Robert Hayes, Julie Hagerty. Mentioned Leslie Nielsen, Peter Graves, Lloyd Bridges, Robert Stack. I'm trying to find who plays... Yeah, Steven Zucker as Johnny. I was not a fan of him. I know he worked with these directors on like Kentucky Fried Movie and such. And technically there's about 3 directors on this. Jim Abrams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker. Which they helped write the film and they directed the film. And... a little bit of production. Not sure. Well, people could just read on Wikipedia the stuff there. Apparently, the role of test director was written for David Letterman, and David Letterman screen tested but didn't get it. And that's the role that Robert Hayes was get. Robert Hayes did a good job, but David Letterman, that would have been interesting. And yeah, I think Robert Hayes did a good job, but that'd be interesting. And apparently the part that Julie Hagerty played, Sigourney Weaver and Shelley Long auditioned. Sigourney Weaver, that would have been interesting as well, because this would have been right after Alien. So. But yeah, Julie Hagerty did a good job. But do you imagine that? Like an alternate world where David Letterman and Sigourney Weaver starred in this? I think it could have worked, but I mean, it'd definitely be interesting. Now, if you wonder what I'm doing, I'm trying to... Oh, like you look at these 3 directors. You know, they work together as writers on the Kentucky Fried Movie, which is a fun film. They also work together on Police Squad, Top Secret, some of the Naked Gun films. David Zucker would go on to do Basketball, Steering Movie 3, Steering Movie 4. Jim Abrams would go on to do Hot Shots Part 2. Jane Austen's Mafia, which I've heard of, I haven't seen. Jerry Zucker, he would go a different path. He'd go direct Ghost with Patrick Swayze, and then First Night with Sean Connery, and Rat Race, which I reviewed. I didn't mind Rat Race. You know what? I'm surprised that this film doesn't have like a really packed Blu-ray with like a full documentary. Maybe it does. I don't know it yet, but I should mention, even in the supporting roles, there's some recognizable people. Like, early on, you see Jimmy Walker from Good Times as a windshield wiper man. And also, one of the people Robert Hayes talks to, and each time he talks to them, they get so out of it, they kill themselves. One of them is James Hahn. Yes, Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China, who plays this like Japanese general that stabs himself. When I recognize that, oh shit, that's James Hahn. So that was pretty cool. And then one of the two guys who did the slaying. Oh, and then you have this older woman that, stewardess, I speed jive. They got me to the bone. Cut me some slack, Jack. That's, almost forgot to mention that. That's one of my favorite parts of the fucking film. One of the two is a guy named Al White. And the reason I mention him is because he was in a couple bit roles I remember. Like, he was in Back to the Future Part 2. I think he was the guy who, when Martin McFly goes back and he thinks he's in his home, but it's altered 1985, and his family runs him off, and I think the dad is this guy Al White. But yes, that's the one I'm thinking of, Red Scorpion. He was one of the stars of Red Scorpion. He's the guy who Dolph Lundgren gets out in order to try to infiltrate the people for his mission, but then he changes his mind and he teams up with Al White and then Emma Walsh, and the three of them and others go kick some ass. So like, I recognize that guy, but it's Red Scorpion. That's what it was. That's the main thing I recognize him for. One of the stars of Red Scorpion, which I love. But yeah, Airplane, still a hilarious film, even from back in 1980. And you know what? For all these people that do these parody films, the Seltzer Burger, Seltzer Bottle, whatever the fuck their name is, that did Meet the Spartans, and Epic Movie, and Date Movie, and Superhero Movie, and whatever the fuck movie, and Vampires Suck, and all these other shitty parodies, they need to go back and watch National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, Hot Shots Part 2, this movie, to show and showcase how parodies work well. They get really good casts. A lot of times there's some recognizable people. Like here you have Robert Stack and Lloyd Bridges and Peter Graves. Have them treat it serious. Take some more fucking time than 5 minutes to write the shit. And do it well. Airplane did it well. I think the sequel, Airplane 2, did it well too. Again, very fun movie. Holds up. And I can't remember the last parody that came out that was sincerely funny. Maybe that's a question to people who watch this. What's the last newer parody that you thought was sincerely funny? I mean, I guess Black Dynamite would fall in that. I guess Black Dynamite would be the one to... See, that did it well with, you know, parodying blaxploitation films. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.